Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day weekend. Labor Day recognizes the value that has been given to all of us by organized labor and by the workers who have just made our country what it is. When Labor Day was first proposed, 12-hour work days were the norm, usually 6 days a week. Now, most of us grew up in households and in times where that wasn't necessary. And so we get to appreciate and thank all of the people in our past that have made our lives possible. And that reminded me of a quote by Albert Einstein. He said, 100 times every day, in case you want to see it, 100 times every day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life depend on the labor of others, living and dead, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure as I have received and am still receiving. So I want to encourage all of you to take some time today or tomorrow and to just absolutely feel gratitude for all of the men and women who have come before us, who have helped to create the world that now we get to create as it goes along. And I think we've got some work ahead of us. Today's topic is prayer, a labor of love. Prayer, a labor of love. Now, I don't really think of prayer as labor, but what I know is that if we are going to uplevel our lives with prayer, if we're going to make differences in our health and in the health of those we love and in our world, then it doesn't necessarily take labor, but it does take some discipline. It takes some effort. It takes some absolute willingness to do our work, to do our share. It takes some intention. So what is prayer and why should we bother to pray anyway? Well, basically, in its simplest terms, prayer is communion with the divine, communion with God, Spirit, the universe, higher power, whatever you want to call it. It's that time when we get to join with that one divine essence that has created everything, that is here for us, that is supporting us, that is the very life that lives us. It's the breath that breathes us. Closer than hands and feet, even closer than cell phones. It is right here where we are all the time. And so prayer is a conscious attempt to connect with that oneness, that divinity. And we're not praying to a God that's just out there somewhere, that has a long beard and is going to decide whether or not our prayers should be answered, whether or not our wishes should be granted. We are communing with a divinity that is all that is. It contains all the love, it contains all the joy, it contains all of the hope, it contains everything that we could ever want or need. It is here for us, and we contact it through prayer. I love that song, Susan. Just hang up and talk to God. I mean, put down the cookie and talk to God. Whatever you do, and you can put it down for a little bit and talk to God, because what we know is that when we do that, when we commune with the divine, whatever it is we are going back to after we get done is blessed and is made easier and is made holier, certainly. Now, though in Science of Mind, our teaching, Science of Mind and Spirit, we teach a 5-step method of prayer. Now, we teach that, and it's a very effective method of prayer, but it's not all there is. It is not the end-all and be-all to prayer, obviously. There are as many ways to pray as there are people praying. There are even more ways to pray than there are people praying. And what is important is that our hearts are open. What's important is that we have feeling behind our prayers, that we're in it 100%, not just saying the words. True prayer requires no special steps, no special postures, no special words. It simply can be from the heart. It can be spoken aloud or not. It can be sung or chanted or danced. Our prayers can come out in so many ways. They can be short or long. We can use beads or be prostrated, repetition, or it can simply be our heartfelt, "Oh, God, help. Oh, my God, show up for me now. What now, Spirit? What now, life? What will serve me? What will serve others?" And so we get to pray in the way that works for us, even though I'm going to do some review of our 5 steps. Now, our theme for September is spiritual mind treatment, the feeling. Last month we talked some about the form, and this month we'll be talking about prayer a lot again. I mean, wow, communion with the divine, what could be more important than that? And I would like to thank Reverend Sue Ellen Miller from the Tulsa Center. She shared some thoughts about prayer with all of the ministers in our movement, and some of the information that I'll be sharing this morning comes from Reverend Sue Ellen. When human circumstances seem overwhelming, when things are going on that we don't know how to deal with, when crises come up, when unexpected, unwanted things happen, I think it's natural for us as humans to turn to prayer. I mean, I've read so many times people who were in automobile accidents or something like that said, I haven't prayed in years, and what came out of my mouth and what came out of my heart was, "Dear God, please protect me, please protect those that I love." It's a natural thing for us as humans to want to call on that higher power, to want to use that, to want it to bless our lives and the lives of others. So do you want a better connection, a deeper connection with the divine? Do you want to feel more of that blessing in your life? Well, prayer is certainly a way to do it. And it's the deep intentions of our heart that really get answered in prayer, that really get responded to. I mean, we can say the words, but if we're just saying the words and we don't have that love behind it, we don't have that heart behind it, we don't have that wanting the very highest and best for ourselves or for someone else or for the world, if it's not coming from our hearts, it's not the deepest prayer that we can offer. It's not the deepest prayer that we can offer. Ernest Holmes said, "Our mental acceptances should be filled with conviction, warmth, color, and imagination. The creative power responds to feeling more quickly than any other attitude. Therefore, we should try to feel the reality of what we are doing when we're giving a treatment or prayer. This reality is felt as we become more and more convinced that Spirit responds to us." So as we're convinced, as we have the faith, as we have the trust that our love, our wishes, our prayers are not just going out and not being responded to, as we have the faith that Spirit is responding, that the law is responding, that helps us to get that feeling of, oh yeah, this is possible, this can happen. Okay, so let's do a little something. All right, I have a term up there, or a sentence up there. I have all the energy I need. Say that with me.
I have all
The energy I need. Now, say it with a little more feeling.
I have all the energy I need.
Now say it once more, as if it's really, really true in your life, and as if you are going to be able to use this next week.
I have all the energy I need.
Oh, and so it is. And so it is. Now, do you notice the difference between the first time we said it and that last time? I mean, certainly the energy in the room, but do you feel it in your own body, that energy moving around, that, oh, yes, this is going to happen, this is possible? That's one way. I mean, as we get the feeling behind our prayers, they are ignited. Now, here's one more. I am filled with peace. Now, on this one, instead of getting louder, each time we say it, we're going to feel it coming from a deeper place, and we're going to let it get softer and softer. So, say it with me. I am filled with peace. I am filled with peace. I'm filled with peace. I am filled with peace. Did you feel that going in? Did you feel that in your heart? That possibility, that peace is there, that you are filled with it, and that you get to take it out and share it? That's the difference that feeling makes in our prayers. That's the difference that feeling makes in our prayers. When we really feel that what we're praying is true, there's a magic that gets activated in the universe. Now, we call it, in sense of mind and spirit, we call it the law. We call it the creative process that is reflecting back to us the energy that we put out. Not just the words, but the energy that we put out. Because you can't hide energy from God. I mean, you know, it knows. It knows. So we're not trying to convince some God to answer our prayers. We're trying to convince ourselves that it's possible. We're trying to convince ourselves that there is more happening in this universe than we know about. That there's more happening than we can figure out. I mean, if we had to figure out how to answer the prayers that we are praying, if we had to figure that out, oh, folks, we'd be in big trouble, you know? But Spirit has so many resources, all of the substance in the world and all of the intelligence in this world and beyond. There are possibilities. Ernest Holmes said, a treatment is the process of convincing yourself of the truth of what you say. It is nothing else. When you are self-convinced, then you have set forth into mind, that creative part of God, the power that does everything. When you have set forth, then you have set forth into mind the power that does everything. So once we get that feeling in there, once we convince ourselves that it's possible, then Spirit can say, oh yeah, she's ready to accept that. He's ready to accept that. Because if we don't think it's possible, you know, we're not going to open up to accept it. He also said, as far as the practitioner, and the practitioner is anyone who prays. Doesn't have to be a practitioner with a stole. Anyone who prays is a practitioner. As far as the practitioner is concerned, all that he has to do is convince himself. Here his work begins and ends. And Reverend Sue Ellen Miller from Tulsa Center for Spiritual Living said this: the purpose of treatment, prayer, is to change circumstances. We go through the process of following the steps to get to the place where we can feel that the treatment has worked and that the circumstances have changed. When we believe it, we can feel it. Have you ever known anybody who wouldn't believe anything unless the absolute proof was there? I'll believe it when I see it. Well, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who has inspired so many of us, wrote a book that's, you'll see it when you believe it. And that's the essence of prayer. That's the essence of answered prayer, believing that there is a good in the universe, that we will believe and trust and have confidence that the universe wants good for each one of us. It wants deeper love. It wants more joy. It wants greater health. It wants greater prosperity. Anything that we want is the universe wanting. Anything that we desire that will up-level our lives is the universe wanting to up-level, Spirit wanting to up-level, the divine wanting to up-level. And so we can trust that we're given our desires for some reasons. Now, of course, that can get way out of line, but Spirit, God, allows us to choose whatever we want to choose. Now, some people make some pretty lousy choices, wouldn't you think? I mean, I personally have never made any lousy choices, but, you may know somebody who has. So, but you will see it when you believe it. Our believing and our trusting and our having confidence has to come first. Has to come first. That is an important part of prayer. Now, just as a brief review, here are the 5 steps of prayer that Science of Mind teaches. And on the table in the lobby, there are some yellow cards, and it has these 5 steps on it. So if anyone didn't get one of these last week and wants to pick one up, feel free to help yourself to that. The first step is recognition. God is all there is. In all of everything, there is only this amazing Godness, this amazing life, this amazing creation. One power that goes by many, many names. Second step is unification. Since God is all there is, God and I are one. I have to be part of that, because what else could I be? I mean, if there's only God and I'm here, okay, I'm part of God. I'm not all of God, but all of me is made of that Godness. All of me is one with that life, with that opportunity, with those possibilities. And because of that, I can use the creative law that says it's done unto you as you believe. I can use that creative power in my life, for my own life, for others, for the world. The next step is realization. And this is the step where we absolutely claim our good. Say, okay, there is no lack of love in God, and there is no lack of love in me. There's no lack of prosperity in the divine. And there's no lack of prosperity in me. I allow it to flow through me because, of course, we can only receive what we are willing to receive. If we're not willing to let the good come to us in whatever form it is, whether it's in the form of love or relationships or money or health, if we're not willing, it's not going to happen. So our willingness is so important. And then, of course, if we get to that place where we know without a doubt that, wow, what I have prayed for is true. What I have prayed for is mine now. Then, 4th step, Thanksgiving, it's a done deal. How can we be anything other than just absolutely grateful, grateful, grateful? And then step number 5, a really important step, release. We don't pray about something, get to this place of, oh my goodness, I can see it being done. I can feel what it feels like to be in that situation. It is happening. Spirit is providing. And then go, okay, so now I better figure out how to do it. You know? We don't need to do that. We can release it. We can surrender it to Spirit. Trusting, trusting, trusting. And then we just get to watch. Excuse me, would you hand me my water, please? Thank you. And then we just get to keep our eyes and ears and hearts open and watch and marvel at how what we have prayed for comes to us in expected and unexpected ways. Now, it's not always quick and easy to get to that place of absolutely believing and trusting and having faith and having confidence. I don't think it's just me, but, it's not always easy to get there. And so there are things that we can do to support that. Things that we can do to allow us to open to that faith and that trust. And that's kind of where the effort comes in. Not necessarily labor, but effort. Now, contemplation and meditation can help. Spending time connecting with the divine, helps to build our faith and build our trust. Reading inspirational material that reminds us of the power of prayer and reminds us of the power in the universe. Being in nature, of course. Music, of course. Such a way to take us inside and remember the truth of who we are. And the class that's coming up, Beyond Limits, that really helps, because that helps teach, that helps remind us that there is this power in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it, and we can allow it to use us. So that is so important to remember. Anything, absolutely anything that transports us into that knowing that we are one with the divine, anything that does that is a wondrous, powerful path into prayer. Now, what can we do? Some of you may be wondering, when prayer or treatment doesn't seem to work. What do we do? Well, keep praying. Keep praying, keep building your trust, keep just knowing, reading about other people, talking with other people whose prayers have been answered. Just do whatever you can, but keep praying. Know that it gets easier. It gets easier to trust. It gets easier to have faith and to believe. And you might experiment. Now, there's no easy or hard in God. Spirit can do whatever it does, a mountain or a molehill. But as human beings, most of us tend to think that there are some big thing. Oh, this one's going to be hard for God, This will be pretty easy. So you can start with what might seem to you to be easier things to pray for. Of course, there are parking spaces, knowing, and that's, if you haven't done it already, so many people are like, and the first time I prayed for a parking place, and I just drove right up, and there it was, and then it happened again. We can start with what we think of as easy things. You can start praying for an easy drive to work or on your errands. You can start praying for a good conversation with a friend or your beloved or maybe somebody you've had a conflict with. You can start with what seem to you to be easy things and build your faith. And a really important thing is to acknowledge your answered prayers. Don't just, oh, yeah, sure, that happened. As we acknowledge our answered prayers, we build our trust, we build our confidence, knowing that, oh yeah, Spirit can take care of this. Oh yeah, there is support available for me here. And so be sure to acknowledge all of your successes in prayer. And of course, we can get others to pray for us. When we're having trouble getting to that place of knowing the truth for ourselves, the highest truth, the greatest health, the whatever, we can have others pray for us. So when you're in a place like that, you can have a practitioner or a prayer partner or your minister pray for two things for you. First of all, have them pray for the good that you want, whatever it is, if it's prosperity or health or whatever. And then also have them pray that you open to that faith and that trust, that it's easier for you to believe that what you want is good and it is possible. But whatever you do, keep praying. Keep practicing. Because prayer opens us up to Spirit's greatest good in our life. We can trust that whatever we're going through, we're not going through it alone. Spirit, the universe, the love is here to support us and to surround us and to give us strength and courage. When we realize that behind the words we're speaking, there is this enormous power, the same power that put the planets in place. When we can feel that power moving through our words, we know that our treatment is complete. We know that our prayers have been answered. So right now, let's just move into prayer as practitioners stand with me in love and trust and faith. Oh my God. Right here, right now, God, Spirit, infinite intelligence, infinite love, all that there is. And I am part of it. I know that it is Spirit that lives in, through, and as me, and it is Spirit that lives in, through, and as each person hearing my voice. We are one in the divine. We are one in Godness. We are one in being able to connect to that power that creates greatness in our lives. And so what I know for each person here is that any challenges, any health problems, any money problems, relationship problems, any of those things that anyone may have been experiencing are open to infinite possibilities. And so what I claim is that healing comes in amazing ways. That healing comes as Spirit showing us the way, guiding us, allowing us to do what's ours to do as it guides us, but opening the way. And so I claim that each person's path is absolutely filled with peace, with trust, with faith, with confidence in the divine. So as we go forth this week, we feel free to pray each in our own way, connecting with the one, knowing that it is here for us, knowing that because we are one with it, anything that we want to claim, we can, anything that's for the good of all. And so this is a powerful, powerful week for each one of us in prayer. We are reminded to pray, we see the results of that, and we rejoice in thanksgiving, thanksgiving, thanksgiving. And so I let this go in gratitude. I surrender it. I don't know how all of this is going to happen, but I trust that the universe does. And so I let it go. I let the blessings fall down all around us. I let the blessings fill our path, fill our bodies, fill our pockets. And in this surrender, I trust. I know God is good, and so it is.